No questions? That's great. Nice to see all of you. Thank you so much for coming.
Well, so related to the question that was asked in there about early childhood
Yeah.
education, you addressed, I think, the welfare side of it, but there's also a lot of two-parent married families who have trouble getting time off work to take care of kids. They have trouble, making the rent and the car payment and the child care payment. They can't spend as much time with their kids as they want because they're working all the time. So how do you deal with that side of the equation?
Well, I mean, again, what's the government's role there? I mean, these are decisions that every family has to make. I make those decisions. I mean, we made those decisions when I was in the United States Senate. I mean, when you have, the United States Senate's a great salary, but when you have to have 2 homes and you have 7 kids, that salary gets stretched a little bit. And so we had some times where, we had to decide, well, should Karen go back to school? I mean, she's going to go back to work. Should, what do we do to send our kids to school? These are decisions that families have to make every day. And the question is, really, do we want the government to be involved in those sorts of things? And I just say the answer is no. I don't think so. I think we really want to take, and this is what part of what I've talked about. We want to talk about how important it is and educate the American public how important it is to provide this type of nurturing and education. Give them the information about how important reading to your children is, how important it is to all of this preparatory work and getting your children prepared for school and curious about education and reading and the like. I think that's a role the government can play to try to help parents understand the importance of their role, and then let parents make the decision. But when you start injecting the federal government and say, we're going to pay for this and pay for that, then you have all these unintended consequences. Look at what I said before. We have all these programs to help single moms because we're worried about them. What's happened? We've had an explosion of single moms. Does that benefit kids? I think most sociologists say no, it hasn't. But it was all well-intentioned. It was intentioned to go in there and try to intervene and help parents. And in the end, it's actually hurt. And again, I'm not criticizing the left for what they did. I think it was well-intentioned, but when your government gets involved in the family, there are consequences. There are incentives that are created, and there are things that are done that hurt the family structure. And I think we need to stop doing that. We need to stop to be, all these, sort of do-gooders who want to go in and try to help the family by injecting government in it. And in the end, what we do is destroy the family.
What about encouraging employers that they have more family-friendly policies?
Yeah, in fact, it's interesting. I wrote about this in my book, It Takes a Family, which I'm sure all of you have read. And I talk about this program in Chattanooga, Tennessee called First Things First. And I was in Chattanooga the other day, and they did this program 20 years ago now. They found they had the highest divorce rates, the highest out-of-wedlock birth rates, all these other things. And so they thought, well, we're going to get the community together. No government dollars. We're going to get the community together, and we're going to see what we can do to help strengthen marriage and families in Chattanooga. And anyway, so I'm in Chattanooga a few months ago, and I'm at a manufacturing facility because that's what I do. And I'm talking to the employers, and I said, just curious. I mean, you're here in Chattanooga. I'd written about you guys years ago. What do you do to help the family in your business? And he said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, do you have any benefits or programs that are designed to help families? Because I heard in Chattanooga you guys sort of did that. And they said, oh, well, yeah. I said, one thing we do is any employee that's here, we know that the biggest reason for family breakup is finances. Money. It's the biggest reason. So what we do is, if you're here 6 months, we give everybody and their employee and their spouse, if they're married, a free Dave Ramsey course for the weekend. So we pay for a Dave Ramsey course, so they know how to manage their money.
Is he endorsing?
And I said, wow. I said, that's pretty good. I said, is that it? They said, well, no, we actually do something else. He said, we actually pay for an annual marriage retreat. I said, you pay for a marriage retreat? Yeah, it's a weekend marriage retreat because we found that the more stable the family is, the more financially stable they are, the more the relationship is good, that they're better employees. They show up to work more often, and it actually benefits the employee. So the answer is government didn't do any of that. Now government subsidizes because we actually pay for if it's an employee benefit, the government gives that as a deductible expense. But it was the community that went to the employers and said, this is something you need to think about and do. This is why I say the bully pulpit is as powerful as anything. Let the American public figure this out. Let employers, let churches, let schools, let community leaders give them the vision, and then let America take and run with that vision.
Along with that, another education question, the House and Senate will be conferencing to go over their individual reauthorization, No Child Left Behind, or the ESA law. Should feds continue to mandate testing?
I don't. As I said before, if I had, I probably should have said that here. If I had, a do-over, I would not have supported No Child Left Behind, simply because I don't think there's really been any discernible improvement of educational quality in America now that the federal government has gotten more involved in education. And I'm willing to do this radical experiment and let parents and teachers of the local communities be back in charge of the education of their children, because my guess is that they care more about these children than the bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. And so the revolution I called for in my book, another book, Blue Collar Conservatives, is to put parents and the local community back in charge of education. I think we're going to see, and again, focus it on incorporating the families in that educational experience. We're going to see a lot stronger educational results as a result of that.
How does Scott Walker's exit from the race benefit you?
Well, according to you, it doesn't benefit me at all. I read your article today, so it doesn't do much.
People said it did. I mean, it depends how you read it.
Well, look, I guess at some level, the fewer the better, right? So as people begin to drop out, as some have started already, there's an opportunity to be able to pick up, talk to people, and we are. I mean, obviously, we're like everybody else. I tend to be a little more respectful of people to, get over it and grieve. So I didn't call them last night, but I'm sure some did. But I maybe take a little bit, talking to the Perry people as we did, and we didn't call them the same day. We waited a day or two just to respect the fact that they just sort of have to process it themselves. And we got a lot of feedback was, gee, thanks for waiting a day or two. We got calls like an hour later, like 10 minutes after announced, somebody called me. It's like, let me process it. And I think we'll do that, and we're going to be respectful of people. I know, particularly Iowans, they make a commitment. That's a big deal. I mean, I know. I wish I could get more commitments, but it's a big deal for an Iowan to commit, and they invest a lot in it. And so we're gonna go and do our best to try to pick up. And as far as the politics of it, he would say, I would say that there were a fair number of Walker people who supported me last time, who had signed up for him, and I know some of my folks have reached out to them this morning, and we're very much on their list, and they're very much interested. So I would say that there's certainly a group of folks out there that we should talk to.
If you're able to make the main debate stage the next time, do you think your presence on that stage could change kind of how the first two debates have gone? Do you think is there something missing that you would bring to that debate stage?
I think we've seen a little bit of hesitancy of folks to contrast themselves. As you saw today, I'm not going to go after people personally, but I will talk about policy differences. And I think there was not very much of that going on in these previous debates. It was all sort of name calling and talking about their backgrounds and how they dealt with Donald Trump, as opposed to differences on issues that are important for voters to be able to discern what candidate they want. And I'll certainly take every opportunity to do that. It's a little harder, and I didn't do that on the early debates because none of the people there were there to defend themselves. And I know you probably could have broken out if you'd have gone out and punched up and hit someone in the other debate, but maybe I just think there's a time and a place for that, and it's not in that debate. It's hopefully when you get in the opportunity to be in the with everybody else.
Senator, I'd like to invite you on my talk show sometime. It's here in Des Moines, but also on a couple other stations. But you won Iowa last time. Now you're like 1%. Maybe something really big and dramatic is needed. I mean, the passion you spoke with about the family, that's really interesting. You're bringing together Democrats and Republicans who have similar opinions. What about bringing the climate conversation into your idea about manufacturing? Bring those manufacturing jobs back, create a World War II scale mobilization using that new blood. Do you think that might have any effect?
Well,
on
that's what
boosting you in the
as
polls?
everybody who's been following me, those are the things I've been talking about as I crisscross Iowa, and obviously I believe that that's the right policy. I believe it's a winning policy. I think it's a winning election strategy, and I'm trusting the folks here at Iowa to make that determination, because I'm certainly saying those things everywhere I go. You don't really, as you know, if you're not in the top echelon, you're not going to get a lot of media opportunity to share those things. But one of the things I found 4 years ago, it's not a bad place sitting back in the pack. I always say that that a race for president, I learned a race for president is like a cycling race. You don't want to be in the front of the pack in a cycling race, because you get all that resistance. Everybody's, all the bugs are getting in your face. Everybody's hitting at you, and eventually you can't. Very hard to win a cycling race being at the front of the pack the entire way.
But don't you need something new, something different to pull?
You just, what I found is patience. That these things tend to come to you, and if you tend to chase them, it's like the dog chasing a car. You're not really sure you want to catch what you're chasing.
So are you going to predict that you're going to make a surge again? Or when are you going to make your surge?
As I said before, slow and steady wins the race, and we're going to go out here and continue to build. And I know everybody thinks this is a national race, and everything's being dictated by national polls and who's on the debate stage and all that kind of stuff. There's a guy who's on a debate stage and he's out of the race, and here's a guy who's not on the debate stage, and I'm still here. And I think we will have an opportunity when our time comes, and I have no doubt that the message and the messenger is one that will resonate with Iowans, because we have before.
Is that the path to victory then?
Slow and steady wins the race. That's been around for a few hundred years, so it's nothing new for me.
All right.
All right. Thank you all very much.